You can introduce your panelists.
I
Welcome.
Will. I will. We'll take a seat and
Welcome.
get started. Hi, everybody. Hi, yeah. Hi. Okay. So welcome to this panel on Hidden Gems, Where Have All the Programmers Gone? My name is Mare Heinluht. I'm the head of diversity and inclusion in Swedbank Group, and I'm hosting this panel today. And with me, I have Karin Künnapas, the co-director of Jõhvi Coding School, where, yeah, round of applause, where companies have joined forces to train programmers. Karin has been working in various places in the startup scene for the past 9 years. Welcome.
Thank you.
Then we have Sutt, the Member of Parliament and former Minister of Entrepreneurship and Information Technology. And before his political career, he worked in the Estonian Central Bank for 17 years, so he comes from a background of finance and economics. Then we have Tiit Paananen, the VP of Engineering at Veriff. And Tiit has a history of unicorns, having worked in Skype and Pipedrive previously, and has nearly 30 years of experience in the IT sector. So welcome, Tiit. And finally, Randrüüt, the head of business intelligence in Swedbank Group, which is an international unit of 700 people working with all our customer data and AI technology. Rait has been with the bank for 14 years and worked in multiple leadership positions. So welcome, Rait. So about our topic today, probably every entrepreneur and every employer here today listening faces the same shortage of skilled personnel and programmers. So we all want to grow, we want to deliver, but the constant strain of finding the right people to do that with is holding us back. So let's talk about it, and let's take the headline question straight on. Where have the programmers gone? Have we lost some of them? How have we arrived at this shortage? And Rait, maybe you could go first.
Sure, I can be the first. I would reverse the question maybe, or are they really gone somewhere? Because if I look back at how much we have grown in every possible field of IT, the numbers are so much bigger than before, and the demand in front of us is exponentially bigger. So I think we are kind of constantly growing and growing as fast as we can, more talent, but the demand just runs away from us. So they're not gone, they're there, but we need to way more.
We need way more. Okay, Karin, where are we getting way more?
Well, we need to educate more of them.
Yeah.
Because I think so far universities and vocational schools are doing a really great job, but the latest research has said that there's about 8,000 jobs that need people who know how to code. But from universities, vocational school, there's about 1,500 coming out every year. So it's a numbers game, it doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So we need to figure out new ways how we can teach more of them.
Mm-hmm. Tiit.
You know, sometimes in the past, programmers were actually called calculators. They calculated trajectory, NASA, etc. They were usually black women. There is a movie about it as well. So now we're talking programmers, which I think is not really the term that we should talk about. Maybe we should talk about software engineers, engineers in general, because you're an engineer today, you probably do one kind of a programming anyway. Maybe we should talk about software developers, you know. Programmer, I don't know, sounds a little bit old-dated name. Maybe that's the reason why we don't have too many of those. Mm-hmm. But anyway, jokes aside, I think the demand is, software is eating the world. Nothing here works without software. So we all need those guys or girls programming that.
Mm-hmm. Andres?
I would put it this way. If you would think of, if you are a graduate or about picking the profession to pursue your career or dreams, I think this question in what we have in a panel is a great answer. I mean, that technology, engineering professions and is certainly something what is going to be attractive. And it's not only for those who graduate from high school or university, it's equally for anybody who has in mind a career track, so change. And I asked Karin earlier, what was the age of the oldest applicant to Kood Jõhvi? And the age was 58. I think 58 is not old at all. I'm turning 55, so there is no time limit when you can do a career switch. So let's discover all these people and make it, I think the most critical and important is this profession needs to be attractive. And there has to be a good storytelling and good leaders and people who actually have been in the job and who can showcase that, look, this is actually a cool stuff. And then people, regardless of age, they will join.
Okay, good. Thank you all for sharing. So it seems that to a large extent, the reason seems to be we don't just train enough of them, we don't reskill enough of them. So how to tackle that, how to train more? Attraction was one part, but what else could we do? And do we have any concrete examples of what we have done, perhaps in collaboration? And whose responsibility is it? Is it the state? Is it the government? Is it the companies? So are there any examples of that? Karin?
I think the person or the people who should solve it are the people who have the problem. So obviously, Kood Jõhvi is an excellent example of that, and the reason also why I'm here, because this started as a private initiative. So there was 8 Estonian startup entrepreneurs who saw a problem when they were building their own companies, that they just didn't have enough software engineers. And they figured out that there needs to be a new way how to teach them. And that's how Kood Jõhvi started, and the government supported the school also. So I think we can't wait for the government to solve all our issues, obviously, so the private sector also has to stand up, come up with ideas, and then get the government involved. And how we need to teach more of them is that we need to think of other generations or like people from different ages. Because if you're, let's say, 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, most probably it's not possible for you to go to university full time. So we need to find new ways that are flexible, that are adaptive, so if somebody has a family, has their own company, that they're able to study, and also that they're practical and efficient. So I think the solution is there, that new ways how to teach people that can come from the private sector.
Right? You've spearheaded a couple initiatives you would like to share?
Absolutely. I think if you ask from that angle that what have we done and what can be done, we have had many good cooperation projects. They're running as well now with universities. And as I'm coming from the field of data, it's a bit different, but not really. I mean, we do have software engineers, we have everybody else as in any other software company. But there is so much more that kind of is not known that is needed to actually work with data, which has pretty much no relation to IT education as such. People with good business knowledge or any kind of structural mind will help the kind of, let's say, the team as much as any good developer. And thus we have, over the years, taken more and more people with not IT background, but with business background. We do it internally. We also recruit them from outside if they have, the right spark in their eyes and really interested in working in this field. By that as well, we can continuously actually can build the capacity base, if I may say so.
Tiit, 30 years of experience, what have what have you seen?
Well, world has changed over the time as well. I think we live in market economy, right? There is demand, there is no supply. Right? So let's start from there. How to get the supply? Demand is there. So obviously the market is not working. What are the problems why the market is not working? Maybe we need some kind of a market shaping initiatives, environment, ecosystem, education, etc. It starts all from there, basically. So it's not a silver bullet solution, right? It's how do you create a market that is functioning? And in Estonia, we are a small village in the world sense. So it's normal that the market doesn't work here. Most markets don't work here. actually. Like, look at the electricity prices. I mean, joke. So, how to fix that? Should we be part of something bigger? Should we be more open? Should we establish our presence somewhere that doesn't need physical borders, etc.? And that we should kind of think a little bit outside of Peipsi and Saaremaa, where we are with our sort of a talent pool in a way. So again, one track is just to bring in people that we want to bring in here. Unfortunately, people who want to come here, they are not coming here. Well, we don't allow them to come here. People who we want to get here, they're not coming here. It's not, I mean, we will get there, right, at some point of time. So, yeah. And I don't have any solutions, unfortunately. It's a collection of initiatives and market shaping activities where actually government and private sectors can do many things. But if you look at our private sector, how many old companies we have? Like, both? Like, there are probably under 100 companies that are more than 30 years old. How many are there? How many of those are in knowledge economy? Probably about 5. So we don't have that sort of a generational wisdom building and shaping the workforce in a way that that would meet today's demand. So yeah, private sector is also in trouble. All the new companies, do they have time to invest? No. They are running marathon with sprint pace, right? I mean, those guys probably now already have matured to the level where they can deliver. But I mean, look at me. I mean, like, I'm burned out middle-aged white man, so I'm probably not going to spearhead anything because I'm running with Veriff 100%.
So, but Andres, how to get more, other people into the mix than old white men? And what can the government or the state do to help to train the right people? And where to start? Should we start in kindergarten, or? Because I feel like university is a bit too late.
I was just observing the audience, how many young and not white, middle-aged men are in the room, and I think quite a few, I would say a majority. Look, I mean, good news, great news actually, is that we have a lot of talent here in this room. Is it enough? Certainly not. Do you have friends? Certainly yes. Are you telling to your friends that Estonia is the best place to come, to work, to study, to do business? I think the more we have ambassadors like yourselves and those who have come here, the more we will be able to attract talent. When shall we, or when should we start? Obviously, kindergarten or even before the kindergarten. And I also very much agree, it's sort of, don't give everything to the hands of a government. Doesn't work brilliantly, honestly. I was there. Some things worked, some others didn't. But can you do without the government? No. So, Kood Jõhvi, I think, is a great example present here in the panel as well. Cleveron Academy, which is training the engineers in Viljandi, is another where we actually co-funded from a ministry. So these type of joint initiatives where also the students, as far as I understand, and it would be interesting to hear also from Karin, I mean, like with Cleveron Academy, people come because they know there is actual interesting, cool technology job after I graduate. And I think we need much more of a storytelling about what is the profession. I think what we can also do far better is, so what's your first pay once you graduate from a university? So students can actually select more informed way, and I think we should also engage much more with a client being, we all, I mean, talk here about we want to get more talent to work for us, but why should they come? So what are their preferences? What they value? So what we can do to make it more attractive? And those who are outside of Estonia, you can also spread this information quickly. Look, taxation, we are famous for corporate income tax. So no tax until you pay out dividends. But there is very little talk about how much you are taxed as an individual. And you are taxed at flat 20, regardless of the amount of income, regardless of the source of income. That is highly competitive. If you take UK, you take the Netherlands, you take the Luxembourg, bonuses are taxed at 50%. So there are many advantages to come here, but the most important is obviously the quality of life. This is what we need to strive as a society. We need to make this place the best in the world, and then we get the best talent coming here. Just before we started this panel, we launched the CDL initiative, Creative Destruction Lab, which is exactly the way how you pull globally the talented people in to help to bring science and business together to create more value. So let's start from a kindergarten, let's start from home, and then roll it out, and everybody in this room, whenever you have friends and wherever you have them, tell them this is a cool place to come.
Actually, just a side comment to Andres's point. Over the years, there have been certain sort of waves of what is popular in terms of like what to study, right? I remember in 90s, it was very popular to study business administration and public management or avalik haldus, because those were sort of easy things. I mean, there was good money after graduation. What that money was paid, but it didn't matter because the economy was growing so much that everyone got money, basically. Did you know anything after you graduated? Not important. You got money. Then we had a wave of lawyers. I mean, I went through that wave myself. Everyone went to study law because there was good money in conflict management and etc. So, well, now all those lawyers are either bakers or running a cosmetic shop somewhere because they realize that's not for them, right? So how do we create something similar that is a widespread, general, just brute force, popular stuff that people sign up for and start to learn IT?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions, but little answers. So what should we do? Run a campaign statewide, right? You have an idea?
No, but I was just listening what the other panelists were saying, and I mean, yes, we do have again a lot of those, let's say, collaboration projects and then the academies initiated by the companies, but they are all kind of a little bit standalone. So there is not enough of this kind of momentum to get this to a big thing. And then if I even speak for Swedbank, yes, we have tried many big programs with universities, but this is Swedbank towards university. And if kind of people change or kind of energy goes down, you know, many millions wasted. Yes, you did a good thing. There are most likely quite many happy people that are kind of outcome of this joint venture, but it's not sustainable in that sense that we kind of rather would have all the companies who are into the same field together with the government would do something kind of long-lasting, not a kind of project-based. I think that one of the kind of thing is the scale that it's so big enough that it kind of starts to kind of change the image, which I think, as you said, Estonia is a village. It's quite easy to change the image of a village than of a big country. And as well, how easy it is to get the access from, you know, small company, mid-sized company to actual government officials and university, you know, authorities. In UK, you need to know people. Here, you actually don't even need to know, you just meet them. So I think the kind of baseline is very good to make something big out of it, like, you know, another tiger jump, but on a completely different level.
Karin, the students in your school, do you talk to them? Do you know, ask them what are their career plans? What sort of employers are they looking for? Are they already recruited somewhere? Are there headhunters behind your doors?
What we are doing is that actually we're partnering with more than 30 companies, both startups, traditional economy, and the goal is that they're the future employers. Because I think, as mentioned, as Estonia is a village, so the goal is that we need to cooperate, we're not competing. And I think that also comes from our partners, because we have multiple companies from the financial sectors that maybe usually don't support same projects together, but they can see that by supporting Kood Jõhvi, they're actually supporting education and they're building Estonia bigger. So maybe if they don't get to recruit somebody from our school, somebody else recruits them, and the people who are working for that other company will go and work for them. So they understand that it actually helps like the bigger picture, not just like only one company. But yeah, we have been talking with our students. Some of them were working beforehand, either can be technology sector, but we also have a firefighter, we have a chef, we have a car mechanic, so we have people from so many different fields. But they are interested in tech, and I hope that in the future, when they go through the school, they will lead more towards that. That doesn't mean that all of them will become developers, software developers. They can also become designers. They can become product managers, because I think when you know how to write code, that opens so many different doors for you, and you can also understand yourself, like what kind of different options you have, and so many new career ways that you could go.
Andres?
I think Karin makes a really important point. Oftentimes we are kind of boxed, I mean, not you, but many people are boxed in a view that, look, if it is a programmer or if it is a manufacturing enterprise, I mean, this is sort of just a single narrow path. But it's not. I mean, there is like a huge spectrum, what you can, including in politics for that matter, but there is a huge spectrum what you can actually do. So I think the more we can open it and do these like type of a great initiatives, and also sort of thinking of what is this sort of, what is a skill set what we need, and why anybody on earth should really come to obtain this skill set. I think when we are able to answer these questions, and for that, in my opinion, we really need to talk much more on to the student side, regardless of age, or a gender, or a color of a skin. But we just need to get this sort of a feedback, so what is missing? So why don't you want to come? Because, I mean, I studied economics in Tartu University, and as I think Tiit, you mentioned supply and demand. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you think, I mean, everybody knows there is a lack of supply or lack of talent in technology field. So if you are capable person, why don't you go for it? So, but then but something is sort of missing. Maybe the change has been just so quick in terms of job creation, the growth of the companies, because money is always there. I mean, it's not about not being able to pay, but it's more sort of where I physically get these people. And also here, I think we should really welcome talent who comes from other countries, because that's the only way for us to grow if we want to think in billions, like I have it on my sweater, to conquer, in a good sense, the world. So
It seems like there are some myths, maybe, about the job of a programmer. So what does it look like today, actually? Because probably many people don't know, what does the day-to-day actually entail if you work as a programmer somewhere?
Well, it's a clean work. You don't get your hands dirty literally,
Yeah.
but you get your hands dirty. It's usually very nice climate, and quite often, very smart people around you, right? And that's the beauty of it. Even if you don't do anything yourself, you still get smarter, because smartness a little bit spreads as well. Stupidness actually spreads more, way faster. But you get something out of it. But I guess the myth is that I'm working in poor hygienic conditions alone 7 days a week, and I don't rest 100 hours per week. It's not like that. So 90% is communication. There is communication, iterative analysis, thinking, discussing, iterating, analysis, and then 10% you actually write the code. Once you have gone to the solution. And then it's easy to write it, because you have gone through it so many times already. And the more you write, the faster it goes for you, basically. So, yeah, it's a lot of collaboration, communication these days.
Right, you're probably hiring a lot. What does it look like out there?
Absolutely, and I think there is something that has changed in this whole process as well, because if you think about, 5 years ago, you wrote the highest standards into the job ad you could in order to get the best guy in. A long time ago already we have given that up, because you just spend time, a lot of time finding this guy or girl who does not exist, or if you eventually succeed, again the time span you spend is extremely long. Whereas in many cases we rather hire the spark in their eyes, very poor CV. We are taking the risk that we, do not get much in the first 6 months, but the willingness to learn, and you get eventually to the same result, but yes, you have to put in a lot of effort in order to get there. But actually it's way more fun. And then how the kind of job looks question relates to that very much, that we work so much dynamically in teams. There is no kind of isolated clean room long time ago. So the same team energy, team effort, and also team knowledge sharing is the thing that kind of actually educates them or teaches them way faster. So there is, I would say, in at least a little bit mature companies, I think there is all mechanisms are there to throw in continuously new people who have the willingness and then the ability to learn, and by that as well, take them from whatever educational background and make them into programmers eventually.
Yeah, imagine if you are an office worker and you draft a set of communication, and you would need, for every line that you write, you actually start to get feedback from your colleagues. Imagine the intensity of work, and that's what software engineers' life is like. You write maybe 5 lines of code, and you get maybe 10 lines of feedback back, and that's instant. That's basically overnight or in a couple of hours. So the collaboration intensity is so good that it takes away all the sort of there's still ego, etc., but you have to have that humbleness to receive feedback and learn from it. And it's actually pretty rewarding when you put yourself out there and become vulnerable like that.
And I think there's also one misconception that to be a good programmer that you have to be excellent in math. That I think it's still thought that you have to have like 100 points from the math exam or something like that. I would say that that's not true. Yes, you have to have logical thinking, that you have to understand like how do you do that, but that doesn't equal math skills. And I think more important is even that you have to be creative, because I have to say that that was a bit surprising to me when we started with Code Jõhvi, that how creative is actually code writing, and that somebody can solve the same problem with 10 lines, somebody can do it with 200 lines, and there's so many different approaches. And I think that's something that has to be kept in mind of people who could be a good fit to become a programmer.
So one myth that we need to bust is that IT or tech or programming is sitting isolated somewhere behind a screen all day and never talking to anybody, and that you need to have, maximum points at the math exam. But there seem to be a couple of others, like gender-related myths as well. So let's tackle that. Why is there so little women in IT in general and within programmers as well?
I think here we come back to education. I was just thinking about that question in the morning, and when I was going to basic school a few years or a few decades ago, when girls were sent to learn how to cook, know how to sew, guys were sent to learn how to build stuff. And now when my niece, who's 10, when she's going to school, it's still the same system. So from a really young age, girls are led to you're the caretaker, you this kind of stuff. Boys, you go and you create and you build. There are really great initiatives when we talk about Unicorn Squad that is basically meant for young girls to play with robots, learn about technology, and I think it's an amazing initiative, but that hasn't made it everywhere. But I think just from the really early on from school, we should give boys and girls the same opportunities. So both learn to cook, both also learn how to build, because those are necessary skills.
Exactly. A lot of times I think people joke about the gender-neutral approach in kindergartens that they have in Sweden now. It's become a bit of a joke, but I think there's something there because, nature versus nurture, it's a big question. What are we directing people to, children and girls to look into, right? You have four daughters?
I have a bit different thought or take on it. First of all, computer and code is completely gender neutral. So the kind of, let's say, where the boys are sent or where the girls are sent into school, that's way too late. I have 4 girls at home. My brother has 3. So I think I have enough test data to kind of understand that the scrap starts already, in the age of 2, 3. Something kind of continuously is fed in there that creates a baseline that this scrap is for the boys. And then they go to the school, and then they start sort of a computer class. Or even now we had COVID. It was actually a brilliant opportunity for many to take away the fear of computer and, have the online learning. And then it's kind of all about role models. And then you have the teachers who can't use the computer. You know, they treat it like sort of an animal. They kind of dismiss classes because they couldn't get their, camera working. Instead of kind of showing to the kids that this is a useful device, you can do all sorts of crazy valuable stuff with it, that you actually could take back home and show, look, Daddy, I made this kind of 3D house in the school, instead of getting afraid that they may drop the laptop. So I think the kind of educational part in the preschool and in the school, first the teachers need to go a transformation through that the computer is fully integrated as a gender-neutral tool there, which it is, but also that it does something useful. So you don't, make a document that is forced to be done. You don't see any value in it, but kind of integrated with the play as well. So you really can take it back home, show, Daddy, this is a house, this is, explain, somehow get their crazy mind going. And then especially I was thinking, how to actually get there, that, if you are somewhere around 5, 6, and 7, the imagination is wild. And then we kind of talk about hackathons where we kind of bring in guys like you, but why not to do those in school to see what ideas come out of their minds, how to actually put the computer to use. Most likely we are kind of blown away by first of all, the stupidity, but also by the creativity at the same time. So there are things that we can change around exactly this early age. By that, get to the point that this myth that this is for the boys and not for the girls kind of needs to be eliminated, but it all comes back to the role models as well, and teacher is a role model, a strong one. So yes, we can promote the strong women who have made it, but actually day by day they see their teachers.
Andres?
Again, I was observing the audience, and I think there are quite many girls here, so which means that you have some interest, or maybe you are just polite, you are listening what these people talk here at the stage, but so that's sort of a little bit thinking, is it like a rear view mirror problem what we are discussing, or is it also like going forward question, and then probably it's a bit of a both. But for me, the key point here is it's the responsibility of any leader, regardless of the size of a company. Could be like multi-thousand employees business, could be just a little boutique of a few people. But it always depends on the leader. So the one who is, be it the founder or be it a manager or a partner, so what is sort of what he or she does to attract and to be a role model. I think this, including in school and in the kindergarten, and I think there is, to be I think fair, if we look, for example, at the average age of our teachers at school, which is, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere close to 50 or maybe even above 50.
Above, yeah.
Above 50. So, I mean, we have grown from sort of in a little bit different world, and so when we need to see how we can make this shift to happen, and that really it's not sort of a boys or girls thing what you do, but it's the thing what it actually is cool and everybody needs.
Tiit, for you, I'll tweak the question a little bit. Do you think the work environment in IT and tech is the kind that women enjoy being in, or is there something that could be done about that?
I have to admit there is a fair amount of behaviors that shouldn't be there. It's often quite sort of a guy-dominated, how do you call that concept? No, anyway, there is this little bit pro mentality going on there, and that's a management failure, obviously, if that is let loose in a way. But I wanted to just to provide a very simple solution. We just need the influencers. We need, I don't know, 10 girls who are like kicking ass in programming, and teach them to be influencers, and get them signed up, lined up with their community, and you know, things, this kind of stuff actually works.
Okay, so Veriff can take that initiative and train some
probably do something like that, because I mean, we should use the things that work, and this works.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, coming back to the environment in a way, I think we are a little bit, as a society, behind what goes to tolerance and like valuing diversity. And this is not something that is changed overnight, right? I mean, it's generational change, if I think about like that. So
and also it's something that, the global workforce that we strive to attract into Estonia really cares about as well. If we bring people here from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different skin colors, they need to feel welcome, they need to feel safe, and if they don't,
but on the other hand, we are in very lucky situation because we still have this very sort of egalitarian society where everyone has a chance and we are all more or less equal and there is no social hierarchy and pretty good sort of social mobility or social class mobility. So from that perspective, I guess we are luckier than, I don't know, UK or Finland, for example.
All right. Before we wrap up, one important question I want to ask you. Every talent was like the price of gold, the value of gold, and we cannot afford to lose anybody. But still, there's a lot of burnout. There's mental health struggles. What sort of advice would you give to the founders, the young, ambitious people here that want to found the next unicorn, how to be good leaders to people and build organizations that are healthy, both for themselves, but also for the employees? So who wants to take that?
I can start.
Yeah.
Because I think it's quite in a big picture, it's a simple thing. You lead by example, don't you? And then if the leader is crazy, then most likely one drives everybody else crazy as well. But especially now, the past 2 years have shown so clearly how much this kind of paradigm or this topic becomes to the spotlight. You only see people behind the computers. You actually don't know what they feel. You kind of miss, 75% of the body language. And that actually puts the whole responsibility on the company management. Not only to kind of observe all those little markers that show that actually something is going on, but also, first of all, kind of understand themselves what this means, and then actually talk about it in the company as well. People don't know what are the symptoms of burnout until they are there. So it is a lot about kind of creating this awareness, and then in that sense, I'm happy to be part of a company who is kind of very mature in that corner. So you get all the support you need, you get all the education in order to take care of your virtual team. But in reality, for a small company, it is as easy as well to just figure out what are the markers, observe your employees, talk about it, so they can start preventing instead of, as a leader, driving them crazy.
Tiit?
Yeah, I think if you haven't burned out, you really don't recognize that. So I've been working in very easygoing company, which was Pipedrive, but I've also worked in Veriff, which is there is quite a lot of demand and pace is big and fast. But I mean, it's essentially again a management problem if you allow this sort of hero mode development to happen all the time and everything is priority at the same time, then it will lead to burnout. But one factor that is more important than pace is actually clarity. If there is no clarity of expectations, you can burn out even if you are not working hard. Because you have so many internal cycles running through your head that you just consume yourself. So if there is a sign of burnout and if there are organizations where there is high mental stress, then that is a management problem, pure and simple.
Okay, we're out of time, but quick last words, Andres and Karin.
Yeah, I think it's also about the self-awareness of any leader. I mean, if you are in balance yourself, you are more likely to create also the environment in the company that will sort of minimize the risk of a burnout. And then second, if you feel stressed and sort of under, just don't keep it to yourself, but find a friend, a mentor, somebody you can discuss, because otherwise you will for sure burn out.
Karin?
Yeah, I agree with what was said beforehand, that this is definitely a management problem, and it comes from the leaders and how the leaders act. And I think we're also gotten to the place where the workforce who's joining companies now, they're not happy with, just with free coffee and some snacks, but they do care about that all the other needs that they have also taken care of. So whoever is starting to build a company, it might be really small, but you need to keep this kind of mental health in your mind already from the get-go, that none of your team gets to the point that they're burning out, and also that they have the feeling that they can either talk to you if you're a leader, or that they have somebody to turn to so they can share whatever issues they have.
Thank you very much. I hope we shared something useful and valuable to our listeners, and thank you, audience.
Round of applause. Thank you, Mare, for being our moderator for this panel session. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you.